Hello guys, and welcome to yet another potpourri. I didn't think I'd be able to get online tonight. I had problems with the camera, but I'm here. Got a lot of ground to cover, various subjects in no particular order, hence potpourri. So here we go. One of the big stories in August of this subject was Andrew Malkinson, a guy who served 17 years. I think he served 17 years. Certainly he was convicted 17 years ago of rape, and he's now been cleared. It turns out that DNA, again, I mean, you thought by the turn of the millennium and then some, they would have sorted this out, but last July was it July about July the 15th, he was cleared. Fresh DNA evidence emerged linking another suspect to the crime. However, I won't be adding this to the false rape timeline because this isn't a false rape case. It's a miscarriage of justice. There was actually a victim. Generally speaking, I don't add cases where there is a real victim and the wrong person has been convicted. It's obviously a terrible case, terrible injustice, but it's not within my bailiwick. This is another recent case. Reading here from The Guardian. Yes, I do read The Guardian. Only because it's free. Couple jailed for life over murder of Wigan man they accused of rape. Liam Smith shot dead by drug dealer Michael Hillier as justice for partner Rachel Fulstall over alleged rape. The dead man, the victim's family said this is complete bull, that she wasn't raped. I'll look into this. I'm inclined to think this is complete garbage, but this is yet another case of vigilante man throwing away his life for well, let's say she's not the sort of girl I would take home to meet mother if I had a mother. Yeah, it just absolutely, these people are, these men, there's a few cases like that on the timeline. There was a case of a soldier who murdered another soldier because it's horrible, these cases, horrible. This guy should have known better. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, I might have done it, might be there's yet another one, but Bill Cosby has been accused by a singer Morgane Pickard, alleging actor drugged and raped her. These women are pathetic, they really are. This is from drugged and raped her in the late 1980s. Plaintiff Morgane Pickard, I presume pronounce it Morgan. It just has an extra N and an E on the end. Morgan Pickard accused Cosby, 86, of inviting the aspiring musician, always aspiring, musician to the set of the Cosby Show in 1987, when she allegedly insisted and encouraged her to drink beverages and made her feel extremely intoxicated on multiple occasions. Pickard also alleged that she was blacked out and raped after drinking a beverage from Cosby at his home. She hated it so much she kept going back for more. No, don't credit these women at all. Check out my video, it's on the timeline, it's on the video page. The Prior Bad Acts of Glory Allred, which exposes how this guy was framed as a serial rapist by the most corrupt lawyer in America, in compliance with a spineless media who simply parroted these lies without any real investigation. Here is yet another case prosecuted in the name of gender equality. Paedophile teacher's prison release revoked after she's caught meeting lover for sex. Yeah, Candice Barber has reportedly been sneaking off with her new fraudster girlfriend Jay Delaney. Oh, that's this. She's right, a lesbian. Yeah. Oh, this is Britain. I thought it was America. It's called a paedophile. It's groomed a 15-year-old student. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, she had sex with a boy, and now she must realise bisexuals I hear something about. She had sex with a boy. 2 months later, she groomed. She was jailed for 6 years and 2 months after she groomed a 15-year-old student. No, I'm sorry. No. A woman who has sex with a 15-year-old isn't a paedophile, as indeed is a man isn't. Paedophilia refers to sexual attraction to prepubescent kids, be they male or female. And I see she's been. Oh, she's got a new lover, Jay Delaney. Oh, yeah, she's bisexual. So no, I mean these are ridiculous. Like, they bring these cases though to at the same time they talk about male rape. They do it to. If you can hear a beeping in the background, I can't do anything about that. It's my smoke alarm. But they do this to garner male support for the erosion of due process. I've said this many times before. No, these are ridiculous cases. Absolutely ridiculous. This is a case that is yet to be added to the timeline, but will be in due course. Bruce Lehrmann, who was accused of raping Brittany Higgins, he's now suing for defamation. My Australian contact sent me this. Hi there. Again, this is from The Guardian. Bruce Lehrmann defamation case. Network 10 lawyers seek to use evidence on rarity of false rape complaints. It's so rare. It's so incredibly rare. Lawyers for Network 10 will seek to lead expert evidence about the rarity of false rape complaints as it defends a defamation case launched by Bruce Lehrmann. No, I mean, completely no. The one, not problem I have with this case, but I think Lehrmann should have taken a stand. He says nothing happened. There was no physical evidence because Higgins didn't report this alleged rape for days, you know. And it's just, I think she stitched this guy up. I think actually this is incidental. I think her aim was to make a lot of money and to notoriety and all the usual feminist flim flam. But no, they're not rare at all. They're certainly not rare down under. They're probably more common in New Zealand than they are in Australia, but they're not uncommon in Australia. And certainly, I've been 2 or 3 domestic, false domestic violence cases. I've got to add at least two to the timeline. There was I think an Indian bloke who brought this woman over from India to marry her, and it was Indian or Syria or something. And she turned out to be again not wife material. As a boxer who was accused of beating up his girlfriend. Excuse the yawning. I've had not so great health as usual. And it's quite early actually. It's just gone 10 o'clock, and you know summer is over. The darkness is here, but no, the boxer, I forget his name, but he was arrested, and unfortunately, technology came to the rescue in the form of his smartphone. So, but no, this case is the way the media handled this case was outrageous, and I hope this guy wins because Higgins has made a lot of money out of this false rape case, and this guy had his life trashed. Still down under, an article by one of my favourite amazing women, inflating campus sexual assault statistics. 275 campus sexual assaults a week is feminist disinformation. In recent weeks, our proud teal independents have been busy showing their feminist credentials by supporting student activists seeking to force universities to do more about sexual assault on campus. All us women who have attended tertiary facilities in Australia know someone who's been raped while at university, pronounced Dr. Monique Ryan. Well, perhaps in your circles, Monique. This is an article by Bettina Arndt, and it's hardly surprising there are kangaroo courts in Australia. It's quite a long article. It's absolutely ludicrous rape statistics here. Again, this is an attack on due process, and she got some analysis of how they arrived at these figures, plucking them out of a hat usually. No, they're just absolutely ludicrous. And as I say, again, most rape victims do fight back, and these university cases are absolutely. There are genuine university rapes, but very few are. Now, this brings me to a rather odious character. I found this book some time ago. Yeah, this is a dude named Kumbe Ginnane, who was convicted of him and one or two of his chums were doing things they didn't ought to be doing at university with white women, and he obviously has a very great disdain for especially white women. He published a book called From Regret to Rape, which you can download from the Internet Archive, and he makes all the right noises, you know, even citations he gives, but take a closer look. They were preying on other students, not the most serious of cases, but he published this book, protested his innocence. He was convicted. He was given I suppose, a fairly lenient sentence. He went back to court, apologised to the judge. I think he got religion as well. And nearly a decade later, he was sent back to prison for failing to comply with his terms of release or something. And he tried to make it all about race, which it isn't. I mean, it just not all campus rapes are false. There's quite a notorious case, the Vanderbilt University case. That's got a racial aspect to it as well, although at least one of the perpetrators was white. They drugged this. Well, they got this girl drunk. I think they may have drugged her as well, and it was only discovered by accident because one of them broke a door or something, vandalised the door. And this came up on CCTV, and it's led to a further investigation, deeper investigation. They found that it's a horrible case. You'll find it on YouTube. This bloke Ginnane is scum, and he was targeting white girls, but I know that he would have targeted black girls as well if he had the chance. Just total scum. Another case here from this year. This is Belfast Telegraph. Armagh man cleared of rape after complainant refuses to testify. The brother and alleged murder victim was acquitted of rape today after the complainant refused to testify. Craig Gibson was due to go on trial at Craigavon Crown Court. Craigavon, well, never mind. accused of 2 counts of rape in 2019. However, after the jury was sworn, prosecuting counsel Nicole Orat said the public prosecution service was offering no evidence. The court heard that because the case had taken so long to come to trial, the alleged victim was withdrawn from the case and not to attend. Well, and what do you make of that? On January 16, 2020, the defendant's 25-year-old brother, Nathan Gibson, was discovered fatally wounded on a towpath near Lake Road in Craigavon. The area was closed for a day as police and forensics teams swept the area, while the Legahoria State home of the deceased was also cordoned off under heavy police presence. On remand awaiting trial, accused of Nathan Gibson's murder, as well as associated offences of assault, false imprisonment of a female making a threat to kill her, is John Paul Whitler. I mean, I know. I mean, a lot of cases where women withdraw is because they thought better of it. This I don't know, I probably won't be adding that to the timeline. Probably not. Another case here of a rich man being chased by false accusers. This is Apollo co-founder Leon Black wins dismissal of rape accusers lawsuit. Yeah, Leon Black is a billionaire, not a parasitic billionaire. You know, one who made money, one who makes money by entrepreneurial stuff. And he was the accuser Kumbe Ginnane could not pursue her claims after receiving $9.5 million from Black under a non-disclosure agreement that followed their 6-year relationship, which ended in 2014. Yeah, I mean, she got $9.5 million out of it. They had a relationship, and now she's claimed she's acceptance of Black's payments and decision not to contest the non-disclosure agreement, barred from claims she signed it under duress. How much duress does anyone need to sign a non-disclosure agreement of $9.5 million? I mean, just the Manhattan judge also found no proof that Ginnane, I'm not really sure I pronounce that, Ginnane, a single mother of a former Russian model, did not understand the agreement. Sure, unbelievable. Yeah, I remember this case from a while. I think it's on the timeline actually, but they never satisfied these women. Well, some people, they're never satisfied. They always keep coming back for more, and it can be ill-advised because sometimes they come back for more once too often. There's a case here which I might add to the timeline at some point from an English language website called Japan Today. I'm so lucky to have been born in London, and at this time when the lingua franca of the universe is a mine, and everybody writes it. Well, almost everybody writes English. Japanese baseball star Yamakawa not to face charges over alleged rape. Tokyo prosecutors on Tuesday decided not to indict Hataka Yamakawa, a member of Japan's 2023 I didn't even know that baseball team, Japan, due to insufficient evidence of allegations of rape. The prosecutors have not disclosed the reason for dropping the case. In May, the 31-year-old Seibu Lions first baseman, a 3-time Pacific League home run leader, was referred to prosecutors for allegedly raping a female acquaintance at a Tokyo hotel last November. And there's a lot of comments here actually. Most of them is one from the guy called Paul. So this woman accused him of rape destroys career and reputation. Prosecutors dropped the case because there was a lack of evidence that she was actually raped. Wouldn't it have been better to make sure they have all the evidence before making it public and destroying his life? Hello Kitty. One law for the rich and famous and another for the rest of us? Question mark. Yubaru. So, I await the folks who always say the woman is right and the man is wrong, even when there is no evidence to support the allegations to come to this woman's defence. Exclaim. Big P. one word. She just destroyed his life. I hope he takes it to court for damages. Name and shame her. It's quite a few here. Look like from Mr. Kipling. Yeah, I mean, girl in Tokyo. Yeah, she's obviously a feminist. Feminism is even known how to rear its ugly head in Japan. A case here from Guyana, I think. .GY is Guyana. A 31-year-old taxi driver was freed on Tuesday after he was found not guilty of 5 counts of rape. And it's when was this? It says, I think it's this year. Where are we? Oh yeah, March this year, March 1st. According to the prosecution's case, he was known to the victim and her family. The alleged rape started when the victim was 12 years old in September 2020. The teen claimed she did not tell anyone about the incident, because she was afraid. It's further alleged that the rape continued. Well, this is obviously someone who's English is not the first language, but it was alleged, that needs a proofreader, that the rape continued until December 2020 when the victim was turned 13. However, Arjun, I won't name him, but he's out there, maintained that the victim and her family fabricated the story due to an old grievance. He was currently serving a 3-year sentence for cannabis trafficking. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of these girls lie. I mean, 5 times implies an element of consent. Yeah, I know a 12-year-old can't consent, but it implies she went back for more. And no, I think that was a right for acquittal. I might add it, I don't know. I've got a clip here I might add. This is Tucker Carlson discussing it. This is from February 17th this year. A woman was attacked in a gym by a guy who tried to rape her. She fought him off. Woman tells Tucker how she fought off attacker. Always fight back, yes. Attacking a woman who's working out in a gym probably isn't a very good idea. Well, it's a good idea to attack women anyway, not physically. But she fought this guy off. Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of victims do actually fight back, and certainly in stranger rapes. Yeah, I'll add part of that to this hangout.
In Tampa last month, a woman called Nishali Alma was working out in her apartment complex's gym. And because she's a kind person, she let in a man who was trying to open the door. That man then attempted to rape her. You're seeing the footage on your screen right now. Now, Nishali Alma did not have a gun. She was in a gym, but she's extraordinarily tough, and she was able to fight off the man who was trying to rape her. His name is Xavier Thomas Jones. Thomas Jones was later arrested after he tried to rape another woman in the apartment complex. The resilience and the strength you see in that video is so inspiring and so perfectly captures the best part of America that we wanted to speak to Nishali Alma tonight, and she was gracious enough to agree. She joins us now. Nishali, thank you so much for coming on. Anyone who watches that video, and again, it's not a political point, but just has to stand back in awe at your ferocity. How did you summon this? So this man is bigger than you, and he's totally determined to hurt you, and you literally fought him off. What were you thinking?
In my head, whenever it was happening, I wasn't really fearful at all. In my head, it was just, I got to fight him. I got to do something, and he was equal to me. He wasn't bigger than me. He wasn't anything more than my size. And I kind of took that to my advantage, to my own head, and I fought him.
Something I've added this to the timeline. Well, certainly the first one. This is a woman named Christine Cromer, who got a jail sentence for falsely accusing a dude of rape. She has a tattoo on her chest, which is... And she accused the prison officer of rape as well, sexual assault as well. It says sexual assault. So, I mean, Plain Township woman who falsely accused a former Luzerne County Corrections officer of sexually assaulting her was sentenced up to 2 years in prison. Former Corrections officer during Cromer sentencing hearing before Judge Joseph F. Slowski Jr. said she stalked him, went through his household garbage and nearly cost him his career as he obtained another law enforcement position. Oh right, so he landed on his feet then. In July 2019, Cromer was sentenced by President Judge, Michael T. Vough, V-O-U-G-H, to 9 to 23 months in jail after she was convicted by a jury of falsely accusing state police troopers of rape while she worked as a beverage server at Mohegan, Pennsylvania casino in 2017. Yeah, I actually got a job in a casino. That tattoo, I don't know. Just unbelievable. Here's another article from The Guardian. This is, when was it? January 22nd. UK rape crisis centres forced to turn away victims as need rises and cash runs out. With survivors waiting up to 18 months for support and therapy and caseloads increasing, staff close lists. Yeah, so they should do. Now these, I've written about these places. They should all be shut down. If they can't be shut down, they shouldn't receive a penny of state funding, be it local government or national government, and they should not have any charitable status, because they cause more problems than they solve, if they solve any problems at all. Again, any woman who's been raped, so anyone who's suffered physical and or psychological trauma, what they need is a period of recuperation, rehabilitation, a bit of space, and to move on with their lives, not this garbage. The Dublin Rape Crisis Centre has a very bad reputation, and in my humble opinion, the one in Cleveland, Ohio is just as bad. There's the usual garbage here about conviction rates, and conviction rates remain low, with just 1 in every 100 cases recorded by police in 2021 ending in conviction. Yeah, don't believe a word of that. It's complete garbage. We're increasingly having to rely on freelance bank counsellors, which has an impact on what we can offer. What can you offer? What can you offer? Go away. There's a quite shocking link here on the US government website. Rape trauma syndrome, parroting the lies of the Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network. There are 3 phases to rape trauma syndrome. Actually, there are 4 now, even though this condition doesn't exist. But there are many symptoms or behaviours that appear during this phase, including, it gives a long list: continuing anxiety, severe mood swings, sense of helplessness, persistent fear or phobia, depression, rage, difficulty sleeping, nightmares, insomnia, etc. Eating disorders. In fact, there's so many symptoms that almost any woman could be said to have been. I mean, it's not diagnostic at all. I think I might actually drop a line to the Justice Department. It's copyrighted 2008. I don't know how long it's been on there, but you'll find a dedicated page about rape trauma syndrome on the timeline. As I've said before, it fails both the Frye test and the Daubert test. It has no basis in fact, but prosecutors will try to sneak it in here and there, disguised as something else. They did that to Cosby and also to Harvey Weinstein. Its purpose is to explain away to explain away the behaviour of women, to nullify exculpatory evidence. So according to rape trauma syndrome, anything and everything a woman does is consistent with her having been raped. This is one I definitely will not be adding. to the timeline. This is from 1969. Warren girl alleged rape. After associating with a 33-year-old married man, the 13-year-old girl was worried she might be pregnant, so she told her mother she'd been raped. But a police surgeon who examined the girl could find no evidence of attempted rape. You think she'd know what rape was when she was 13, wouldn't you? But 1969 was different. I was, what was this? June. I was not quite 13 then. I was 13 2 months later. Yeah, I think when I was 13 I knew what rape was. Police surgeon examined the girl, found no evidence of attempted rape. She then retracted her allegation and made a statement about her association with David Potpourri, a lorry driver of Ashburton Road, Whitley, Reading. And yesterday Potpourri was remanded on bail by Henley magistrates after he admitted indecently assaulting the guy. No, I won't be including that. Muppet. Mr. Richard Oliver defending said Potpourri believed the girl was 15 or 16. 15 is still underage. She seemed far advanced sex-wise. It's so advanced you don't even know what pregnancy is. I mean, give me a break. What I should have said what rape is, what sex is. Right, this is the big one. This is this is I'll devote a bit of time for this. This is a 17-page article from the New York Times magazine. What People Misunderstand About Rape by Jen Percy. Full of garbage. And I did actually write a lengthy email in response to it, which was ignored. Probably not just because of its length, but because of its content. Anyway, I'm sorry if you can hear that. I can't do anything about that beeping. This is the usual. Sexual assault often goes unpunished when victims fail to fight back, but investigators, psychologists and biologists all describe freezing as an involuntary response to trauma. Yeah. I froze, the woman said, thinking back on the day she was raped during a military exercise a few summers ago. Well, I'm sorry, but if you freeze during a so-called rape, you're no good as a soldier. I mean, it's absolute garbage. She couldn't understand her failure to respond to the attack. It felt at odds with her training. Maybe she wasn't attacked. I felt like I couldn't trust my own body. Seriously? And there's all sorts of garbage here. Most nights she sobbed with her arms around her knees. Her friends and mentors found out how she responded during the rape. They were appalled and confused. You didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. You froze. And it's, there's a lingua franca that women use, a repeated vocabulary to describe what they experience and think during a sexual assault. Variations of freezing are often part of that vocabulary. Yeah. And it's Lady Gaga, who claims to have been raped when she was 19. Well, and I'm not a screamer. E. Jean Carroll testified at the United States District Court in Manhattan about how Donald Trump sexually abused her in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman. I'll put a link below. I shouldn't. Well, it's on the. No, I won't put a link below. It's on the. I'll put a link to the video page. I mean, Carroll based that imaginary rape by Trump on an episode from a 2012 crime series, crime drama, in which a judge had a fantasy about raping a woman in the lingerie department of Bergdorf Goodman. And I think the woman ran up dead, murdered by someone else. I don't think the court heard too much of that during this trial, but I mean, It's absolutely ridiculous. But people believe this crap, you know. In 2019, a 48-year-old woman testified in the Canadian court that she froze when a man raped her in the back of his car after their first date. Why did she get in the back of his car? I mean, what's she done? Seriously? This isn't victim blaming. Why is she in the back of his car? If not, what they... When I reached out to dozens of women to ask about their responses to sexual assault, they also spoke their experience in terms of freezing. At first, Andrea Royer told me she fought and screamed to deter a rapist in Spearfish. Oh, that's Spearfish, that's a town in South Dakota in September 2012. But then she froze because she decided freezing was the only way she could keep herself alive. Yeah, I mean, Linda Schluter didn't think that. Neither did Carol DeRonch when she was kidnapped by Ted Bundy. No, I'm sorry, don't believe it. There's all sorts of garbage here. Tonic immobility. Well, tonic immobility is a real thing. Something animals do. A few years later, the psychologists Susan Suarez and Gordon Gallup argued in a 1979 article in the Psychological Record that tonic immobility evolved in humans as in other animals as a defence against predators. Yeah, I mean that's a real way to defend yourself against a predator, isn't it? Let them do it once with you. And if you're familiar with my videos, you know what's coming next. Jim Hopper, a clinical psychologist, a teaching associate at Harvard Medical School, has studied trauma and sexual assault, including the neurobiological aspects, for more than 30 years. Yeah, this is a guy who believes that Blasey Ford, what's her name? Caroline Blasey Ford? Christine Blasey Ford. And there's a load of crap here about him. Some will fight or flee, and some might experience trauma syndrome. All this neuroscience garbage. Amy Arnstein, neuroscientist at Yale University, is one of the leading researchers on the way stress impairs the prefrontal cortex. Oh yes! After reading testimonies of rape victims over the course of a decade, Hopper observed that sometimes victims will experience what they call shocked freezing, when a person's mind can stay blank for several seconds. Victims might describe this with phrases like, "I couldn't even think." And there's a lot more. That's at page 9. There's all sorts of stuff here. Again, the purpose of this is believe women. How can we not? Anyway, my response for this was a letter to New York Times Magazine. Jan Percy's New York Times Magazine article, What People Misunderstand About Rape, is yet another thinly veiled attempt by activists disguised as researchers to erode due process. Its message is simple: believe women. I can write pages about this article, but we'll focus on 3 people: Anne Burgess, Jim Hopper, Eugene Carroll. Burgess and a collaborator published the first paper on rape trauma syndrome. Again, you'll find that I'm not on the timeline. This condition does not exist. It fails the Frye test and the later Dorbert test. Oh, I've already said this. Although prosecutors managed occasionally to sneak in under some other name. It was used in the false conviction of Bill Cosby, the victim of one of the most notorious media witch hunts ever. Cosby's public accuser Andrea on stand, waited months to report this alleged sexual assault. This alleged sexual violation. In the Rodney Anderson case, which you will find on the Full Circle timeline, his accuser waited less than 3 weeks, but contemporaneous text messages told a different story from her alcohol-induced confabulated flashbacks. Yeah, this is an important thing. Flashbacks. Flashbacks are often inaccurate. They're like dreams. They can be like dreams, which are basically junk. The mind does all sorts of funny things, and alcohol does all sorts of funny things to the mind as well. The Rodney Anderson case is one of the most important on the timeline. Anderson's a football player. He went with this American football. He went with this white slut named Courtney Thornton, and weeks later they had consensual sordid stuff, you know, and weeks later she had flashbacks of what she thought happened, and he was arrested. But it turned out she sent text messages to a friend contemporaneously, and really you have to believe the contemporaneous text in a situation like that, because, you know, why would a woman lie? There's another case at the time, Amanda Barrow, who wasn't a rape victim. She got drunk out of her tiny mind and started doing things she shouldn't be doing on a train, and when she was shown the CCTV, it's been a bad week, but put it that way. When she was shown the CCTV and the photograph this girl took of her, she said, "Well, it's me, but I can't remember anything," and I believe her. You know, I mean, the effects of alcohol and maybe combined with prescription drugs and or recreational drugs, they have a synergistic effect for the bad, you know, bad synergistic effects, and they can cause big trouble for innocent men. Well, that letter goes on. In the Cosby case, many media outlets, including yours, allow Gloria Allred to parade a small army of demented or simply dishonest women in front of the American public without even the pretext of fact-checking. Incidentally, Miss Allred was found out when the false accuser of Judge Roy Moore was caught forging a document, but neither has suffered any repercussions. Anne Burgess testified as a defence witness for the odious Menendez brothers. Her so-called expert evidence that the brothers didn't plan the murder of their parents was ludicrous, considering the lengths to which they went in order to do just that, including faking an alibi. Yeah, they were in the news fairly recently, actually. They're trying to justify the murder. It was just ludicrous. Jim Hopper is a crank with credentials. After the Blasey Ford testimony, he asked why couldn't she remember how she got home, and came up with a suitable convoluted answer. The reality is Christine Blasey Ford had never met Brett Kavanaugh. Rather, she used information in the public domain, the book by Mark Judge, to concoct her story. She was exposed under questioning by Rachel Mitchell, and indeed shortly her own attorney as good as admitted on video that Dr. Ford had made the whole thing up. That is on the timeline. It's under the witch hunt of Brett Kavanaugh. But E. Jean Carroll. Do women never freeze? Obviously sometimes they do. Or in the case of serial abuser Dr. Larry Nassar, there is a combination of girls who are confused about what precisely constitutes an examination. These kinds of outrages can easily be avoided by using female physicians wherever possible and chaperones always. We have enough evidence now, especially from CCTV, to show that even quite young girls do not freeze, especially when attacked by strangers. What Jen Percy and Jim Hopper want is for a man to be convicted any time he's accused of rape, whatever the circumstances, and however great the purported delay of the accusation. This is a recipe for injustice in the criminal justice system that is already renowned for such. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Right, I could go on, but you probably had enough of me by now. I'll add this to, I'll edit this and add it to the timeline, to my dedicated Force Rape channel on YouTube, and in due course to the Internet Archive. I haven't ruled out doing it. I will do another live stream, but I've got a lot on my plate at the moment besides the Force Rape timeline. And as I say, I'm not in the best of health. So, as usual, anyone wants to send me anything, you know where I am. And I will be adding, hopefully, a few more entries over the next week or so.